So welcome to the node.js Node API team meeting for March 25th, 2022. We'll follow our standard approach of going through the things that are tagged for the milestone 11. Does anybody have any announcements that they'd like to share before we get started on that? If not, I will share my screen. And where are we? Share screen, right. And find the right one. Okay. So the thing at the top of the list is drive for full coverage. I don't think I know of any updates on that front. Does anybody else have any they'd like to share? If not, let's take a look at the stale issues to discuss. I know I added this one just yesterday, I believe. Which is, so basically this is a question about migrating from NAND, and in NAND there was a NAND getter macro, which helped get, I guess, the names of the getters. I haven't had a chance to really look at it in detail, but I don't know if anybody else here has any insight or thoughts. I think similarly, I mean, the property descriptors do some of that, don't they?
I wonder if he's looking for specific additional macro, like
right. Like I think, well, maybe it's that you still need to provide a C function, right?
oh, it looks like none used to have actually have it, not used to have, but
yeah,
none has some special macros which like look like functions. Honestly, I personally hate them for one simple reason, because most of these macro-like functions are not toolable. Like many editors and stuff, they don't recognize them as being functions.
right.
But yeah, maybe people have different opinion about it.
I assume that's something people could define their own as well, right?
Right. If it's just macros, they can always, any kind of helper macro people can define their own modules. I guess question like, do we want to have special macro shared for everyone? But modern C++ usually against macros.
Yeah, the one thing we have done though, is to try and help in terms of the migration, right? Like, I don't think we have, like, in terms of making it easy, if this is like a common pattern that was used, we tried, we provided some functions that we wouldn't necessarily have added, but to make it easier to transition, we did choose to do that in some cases.
If you like, I can have a look at it later, because honestly, I never looked at none.
Sure. Before. Okay, no, that would be great if you're volunteering.
Vmoros. VMO OROZ. OZ. No.
That one?
RROZ, sorry.
Sorry, ROZ. Okay.
ROZ, yes.
So take a look this week. How about that? That sound good?
Okay.
Okay, that sounds good. Thanks for doing that. Just, yeah, the things we can do to help move over does make sense. So that's always good. Okay, so that one we looked at 1106 is the documentation outdated. I guess, Nick, you were going to take a look at this one.
Yeah, I have a pull request and
oh,
yeah,
right. Okay.
Need that.
Okay, I see it's Kevin's taking a look. And so this one ought to close out the that particular issue.
Yeah.
I think we can take this off this list, right?
Yeah, I agree.
Because it's not going to be stale anymore as an answer. It's got an answer should be. Oops. That's maybe not where I wanted to comment, but that's fine. So I will just delete that one from here.
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good. This one.
And I have up paragraphs here.
Okay.
Kevin last week commented, and I need to address his comments. So yeah, if you want to take a look, but I think that it's done. Yeah, like the.
Sounds good. Thanks for looking at those two. We'll definitely take a look and get them landed. So this one. I don't know if there's any update on this one. Don't think so. Did I? Right. Okay. So this was this one, I think. Right. This one. This one, I believe I landed minus the, yeah, I did do that last week after our call. So that's good. Okay. Take that one off. So that's good. And I think that takes us to all of the stale issues. Any other stale things we should talk about before we move on to the next topic? No. Okay. Thanks. Okay. Tracking issues from those things reported. Don't see anything new there. So that just takes us to issues in the repos. Let's go to.
I have noticed a newly opened issue from the module owners. The number, and it's in the node.js core.
Okay.
The number is 423 and 76.
Is it an issue or a?
It's a issue.
Okay, so let me get there. And you said it was 423
and 23 and 76.
Okay.
Yeah, it's about the Finalizer issue we fixed previously, but we didn't backport to feed country to our line. So people are shouting out that their node program is crashing.
Right.
For using add-ons that is involved with the finalizers.
Okay.
But as people are said in the thread, the 12 line is going to be drop the maintenance status. So I'm not sure if it's valuable for us to support to backport this fix, since we have a series of fix on the 14 line to suggest the finalizer issue. So I guess if we do backport, we have a several pull requests that needed to be backported. But
so it's not just the one.
Yeah, right.
I guess, do they all apply cleanly is the first question.
We previously landed this, but we found another crash that introduced in this PR. So we have another and one other to and one other CC test to properly testing it.
Right.
So at least, I guess we have at least two backport and one for testing.
Right. I guess the so if you could comment, at least like comment in there that it's going to take actually not just that one PR, but these set of PRs. I think that would be good if you know what that list is, right?
Yeah, I can take it to find out all the related PR so that we can check on them and find and determine if we need to backport them.
Right.
And I'm thinking that if this requires the attentions from the releasers, since we just have 6 weeks left
Right.
to do the backport.
Right. Let me just take a look if there's any. No. So I'm looking at the build. Actually, no, I didn't want build. I want release. I'm just seeing if there was already a planned release for like a final 12 release or something, but.
And just noticed that Trot has said that 12 just mostly get security fixes. I'm not sure if there is a one final release left, if it's a good chance for us to land this series of fix. But anyway, they are fixing a crash issue. So when the issue is involved with the, like say, work thread, then it's probably fixing denial of service.
Right.
Like say, people can create a denial of service on the server, since it can crash the whole process.
I guess it's like, do we think it's low risk? And if so, like, what's our opinion on whether we would like this to go in and think it's important is kind of the, if we want to advocate for it, that's what we should probably decide here. So maybe if you can like, because it comes down to like how risky is it too, right? If it's like one thing that just applies cleanly, great. If it's things that actually require backports, that makes it more complicated, right?
Yeah, right.
Okay, so I'm gonna see. Is that sort of the 2-week release candidate? I'll just say at. So that's correct, what I've just written.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Okay, good. So yeah, I think that's a good way to, we'll see that list, and then I think that's probably the last opportunity. I can see it's scheduled in. It's probably the sort of last one. And maybe we'll see what Richard thinks in terms of, like, he may say, oh no, we're not, I think it comes down to, like, it seems to me like it would be nice to include that if it's not too risky, because it is a crash that somebody's run into. We basically, like, maintenance mode, in my opinion, is like security releases are the things that we sort of limit it to, or fixes that are important enough to warrant the risk that they introduce.
Yeah,
So
right.
this one might fall into that category of, like, it's not just somebody, reporting. It's not just an issue we know could happen. It's like, yeah, we have people saying we're actually affected by it. So. Okay, anything more on that one we should discuss? Maybe I'll go back to, then we're here. We can look to see. I don't know if we should probably take a look at this one. I think that seems good to me. Does that seem good to everybody else?
Yeah, it explicitly documented that there is a window between the object is being collected, but it's the people can still get the handle to that object.
Yeah.
That sounds good to me.
Okay.
And it's already the fact that we have the behavior in, like, say, weird persistent, or I don't know other engines, but at least for weird, it applies.
Okay, so that's good. Okay. This one, I guess, Vladimir, is your update for.
Yeah,
the
remember,
one
like
that we
a
talked
couple of
about?
weeks ago, we had this issue that reported that some registration and MSVC didn't work. Like it was breaking some dynamic initializers for static variables.
Yep.
So that's what this PR is about.
Okay.
And technically, it will be possible to do it for all C++, but I only narrow down to MSVC. So technically, all other compilers still do the old route. We only changed it for MSVC.
Okay.
But honestly, it was an interesting situation. I was able to reprobe this issue following the bug description without problem. But then I tried to create a unit test to test this stuff. So it seemed like, this red-green stuff. I couldn't. All my tests was passing even without this fix.
Okay, wow.
It was interesting.
But you ended up with one here that's.
So I still created tests just kind of for the future. So if
Okay.
So I have created one inside of a Node API unit test, just to make sure that always dynamic initialization works inside of C++. And I can see module itself has .cc extension, so it means it must be done from C++.
Okay. I think this one we just talked about, right?
Yeah, right.
This one, I know we've mentioned a few times. I personally haven't had enough time. It's big enough that I haven't had enough time to go through and look at it. But it looks like in the end, it's from the very quick look I had, it sounded like in the end you did something slightly different than what you were talking about to start with.
Right. So initially I was talking about some special finalizer queue and it was stuff, but later I realized that the issue was not about the queue. The issue was that we don't do correct processing from garbage collector second pass as we used to before. Because what I found, there is a history that at some point we used to do it, but then it was a bug. Like it seems that our finalizer was popping up with random exceptions in the middle of other calls. And Gabriel had a fix moving this stuff inside of set immediate. So now all finalizers get processed as set immediate. So this change is about to return back to second pass, but instead of popping up exceptions like it used to be before Gabriel's fix, we're now causing this unhandled exception as you would do from inside of set immediate. And also on top of it, I'm adding this new a new public method which allows you inside of your module to subscribe to all these different finalizer errors. So technically, not only we by default we can cause this uncaught exception, but we let module developers say, okay, you can do it per module, only your finalizer issues you can handle yourself if you like. So rather than popping up to the global level.
Right. In the doc, does it say experimental somewhere?
No, I don't know how exactly to put this YAML, and I've seen that some other kind of docs they're doing wrong. Like we see an API version,
Right.
I say
yeah, it's experimental here. So yeah, I just think that sometimes in the doc we've said it's experimental as well. But
yeah, you tell me how to do it right, because
yeah,
I know that even version of an API is not correct. I need your advice how to do it correctly.
We may not have been consistent on that, but yeah, it would be good to. So okay. So basically, you've moved it out of set immediate, but you've pulled the parts that we need from set immediate into the code. Is that kind of the high level description?
Right. So technically, I looked how set immediate produces this kind of unhandled exception. I moved it in. Pretty much doing exactly the same, but on top of it, I also offering this handling this exception, and you see biggest code. If you scroll kind of down a little bit, it's about sorry, the up. Yeah, this one biggest thing, like it's about handling this exception. So technically, it's looking if we have handler defined, then we're trying to call this handler.
Okay, because set immediate, like I think my high level understanding was set immediate was introduced because that made sure we could actually run JavaScript. That maybe I'm thinking of a different case or something like that.
Oh, is it? Maybe I misunderstood.
Like that's like sort of, and again, I may be getting this wrong, but like I thought that there were like cases where the finalization can happen, but like in that second pass, you can't necessarily run just any JavaScript. So the set immediate was introduced so that you are in a state, like when you're running in a set immediate, you are definitely in a state where you can run JavaScript.
But my understanding was second pass allows you to run JavaScript, isn't it?
Yeah, that's where like I may be remembering something different or something, but like at least some of the places we introduced set immediate was because we were like not in the right place to run JavaScript. But
we have a buffer finalizer. if I recall correctly, the timing is different.
Right. Okay. So that was probably that case instead. Okay. Well, yeah, that's good. Thanks for putting this together. And I guess it would be nice to get definitely like Gabriel's, since he made the original change, it'd be great if we could get his review as well. I'm going to add Gabriel in here if we can.
Gabriel and also have a strong opinions on the finalizer things.
Right. So yeah, I'm going to add those two as. Yeah, and I didn't do that. Okay. Okay, because yeah, it's been a little while, but yeah. But I guess it has only been in its current state for less than those 22 days, I assume.
Right, I think it's fixed. I mean, last change was done like probably a little bit like last week probably.
Okay, so yeah, so it's not as bad as it being open for 22 days with no activity. So
yeah, I opened it, but I realized my fix was wrong. Then I did few iterations. I changed it to state to draft and did few iterations.
Right. Yep. Okay, good. Okay, so otherwise, I don't think there's anything new there. Let's look on Node Addon API.
Also sent another PR.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. Which one's that?
Oh, it was also in the core. So if you could go back.
I'm going back there. Actually, can I just go back? Maybe.
Oh, it's missing the Node API label, so it doesn't show up. The number is for 24 and 63.
This one.
Yeah, I guess
you just added it, right?
Added. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. So it actually going back. Remember, I had this proposal for features, like say we want to change some behavior, but we're concerned about all these different API safety and kind of stability of our APIs.
Yep.
So I kind of chose this very simple issue we had today, is that our NAPI get all property names has a bug that it does not process its key configurable correctly. And I'm introducing these features here, like just to show how they can be used to address this specific issue. Because the fix itself is trivial, it's one-liner. So mostly this PR concerned about like introducing features, like so pretty much how they can be used, what public API we can add. I still didn't add documentation for that, but because it's more like for discussion, for us to discuss.
Yeah.
Is it something
that Node API features is what? Let's see.
So it's in enum flags, and a proposal is actually we can add new flag for each new feature, and then we can have a per version. We can have this Node API features default, like so imagine by default will be like 0, right? But each version may have its own set of feature growing. Like we can have here if def for all the different versions. So what happened with this default one, if you click on node_api.h, node_api.h.
Okay, actually, I'm getting there, I guess. Just a sec. Oops. This one, right?
Right. You see what I'm doing? I'm changing this our NAPI module definition. So we used to have 4 reserved pointers. Now what I'm doing, I'm taking one of these pointers and saying it will be used for features, right?
Okay.
So it's now with 3 reserved pointers, and we're using one for all these different features. And these default features, if you scroll a little bit down, you see I'm defining this macro NAPI default features. So if this macro is not defined, then we're setting it to this whatever default enumeration we have. So it gives us interesting thing, like people can always override default features, but simply define this macro before this include happened. If they didn't override this macro, we're using this default one. And then this default one is going inside of this, you see this line 77. We using this default macro to initialize our NAPI module during module registration. And then I'm changing code that actually propagating these features all the way to an API environment. So now like environment has new method, internal method has feature. So technically any kind of code inside can check it.
Right. So that's this will tell us. So like the get features tell us what's available, right?
Right.
Add features. Oh, so get is what's on.
Right. Like yeah, when we think get features, it gives us effectively all these different bit flags, which whatever is set.
Right.
And people actually can maybe inside of the code imagine that they want to have this feature to be not for the whole module, but maybe just for some part of it. Like say they fix it, they perfectly fine this feature to be on everywhere, but maybe in some specific place they want to turn it off because maybe it's had some third-party dependencies, whatnot.
I think this feature list feature flag is very cool, but I just hesitant about this. Just this specific problem, it's a very trivial about typo, I guess, problem that we originally put in this place. Is that we consider this a bug fix and hide it behind a very flag list to get people to get fixed.
But I guess it's it's back to we don't want to break any existing code.
I mean, this specific problem, it's not working already for the documented behavior. Like say, people want to get a list of configurable keys, but they are getting a list of writable keys. So if they are getting the configurable keys to reconfigure them, then their code might not be already working since the key might be non-configurable. So just for this specific problem, I think it's not worthy to hide the bug fix behind a flag. But I think this feature is very cool. We can use it for future behavioral changes.
Right. So yeah, that is two good. I mean, they can be two separate things. So I guess what you're thinking is like, if in the case of the API, we're confident that like there's nobody who can be using it successfully, then I could see fixing it. But if we think even if they're using it incorrectly, but they've got code that works, we don't want to break that code. So is this like, there's been a few, but pretty far in between where it's like, yeah, this just can't break anybody because there's no way they're using it successfully, I think. But is that what you're thinking this falls into? Like they're getting a result and they may be using that result. Now, maybe it's the wrong result, but if their program stops working as expected.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about.
Okay, so maybe we need to dive into that discussion. What was so get all property names and not be key configurable.
Right, so technically it was a bug introduced at very creation. I think it's one of the reasons what it was pretty big function introduced, but it was no good unit test coverage.
Right.
So it's
the change line is in the core change line is in JS native API v8.cc and the line number is 939. Yeah.
This one right here.
So this is the core change of this PR to fix the problem. And you see that when the key filter is not key configurable, we set the V8 property filter with only writable, but not the only configurable. So when people are getting a list of configurable keys, they are getting a writable keys. So when they are using this to determine if the key is configurable, then the code might already not working, since the key might be non-configurable.
Right. So it's so what's the chance somebody wrote some code which gets configurable keys, but then doesn't actually depend on them being configurable?
I think it's changes law, because as soon as they write such code, they would report a bug and scream to us, like saying, this again does not
the
work.
chance is very low.
Right. Because right, is there any code out there that says, yeah, give me only configurable ones, but then doesn't actually use it as configurable, it uses it something else? Probably. Or it sounds like we don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah.
I think that seems reasonable. Like basically we'll say this is not, we don't believe there's any code out there that will be affected by this effectively.
So what should be recommendation here? Like I can remove these features and introduce features as different PR, but make this specific fix to be without any kind of features.
Yeah, I think that's, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and just we need to be clear, like in our rationale is like, we believe this is not going to affect any existing users, so we're willing to do it. And, yeah, just to make sure that that's part of like the PR itself that makes that case.
Okay.
And then you could probably just, yeah, and the rest of the PR, which adds in the feature, is probably then just stands on its own, right?
I guess my question is like, should we introduce these features PR without actually having any single feature to play with?
I think I'd be okay with adding it. I don't know. You could make the argument that we should at least have one to test it out with, but.
Right, that's what my was thinking
Yeah.
about. Because initially I introduced these features as my kind of previous PR, which we just discussed about handling this.
Right.
Handling finalizer issues, like should be inside of set immediate and stuff. Maybe it's probably good playground there, because it's quite significant change where we handle them as a part of GC second pass, or we handle them inside of set immediate.
Yeah, that's one where like opting in, I think, would help reduce the risk, right?
Right, because if somebody relies on that to be always set immediate, and maybe because of some other issues, like you said, and people can always flip this feature and go back to the old behavior.
Right.
I'm wondering, how do people distinguish if they are called from set immediate or if they are called from the second pass? If there is no significant difference, like say if it is being able to execute JavaScript or not.
If they can't tell, I mean, I think if we made the change, it should be because they can't tell, right?
Yeah, that's what
The only thing is how sure we are of that.
Okay. Yeah, it's what's my reason, like why I removed this feature from there, because now, like, if we have any issues inside the finalizers, we're producing external behavior will be exactly the same as it will be with set immediate. And also, even in today's code, if people using promises and they're using whatever await keyword and stuff, sometimes the behavior will be anyway somewhere like as a micro task or set immediate. So even today. So yeah. Anyway, let me put these features in separate PR for now.
Yep.
At least I just want us to have discussion. I want us to kind of, because it's kind of big thing, big feature to have features. And
Yeah,
and so we
that
have
would be
something to
very
discuss. We
great.
can decide to merge it later if we like.
Yeah, I think having some like even just on the like shedding the names and stuff, it's good to do that.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not good with names. Like, so yeah, enable, disable, maybe. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, like the add and remove it. I don't know, just me. So I threw that in. We can see what other people think too. So
Yeah, I like it. I'm not a native English speaker, so think any kind of suggestions about better names.
sure. Okay.
It's
Yeah.
always welcome.
Yeah.
Thank
Okay.
you.
So
Good discussion.
Yeah. No, thank you. Just looking in terms of, we think we looked at that one. There's a couple of these I think we already talked about. Nick, I don't know if there's anything to talk about on those.
No, for now, but I want to propose to prepare the new release. Yeah, I think that we have enough things to land. So yeah, as always, I can start to, as usual, to create the issue for the new release and move on. Yeah.
That sounds good.
Yeah. So we will land before the end of the 12. So it's good for me.
Okay. I think also we want to do a release soon after the node release, the node 18, to drop support for, I guess soon after 12 goes out of service, we want to have a release that drops that as well. But I don't think we need to wait. Like it might be good to get a release that has the new stuff in and then drop it in a release that has less stuff soon after that.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. So I don't see too much in the PRs and the issues. This one. Okay, that one they asked me, I just need some context. This I don't know. Any context? I don't know if anybody, so we need to take a look, but are there any other ones in particular that we think we should talk about before we close out for today?
I just kind of want to kind of ask your opinion about this another proposal I had about this shared values. So idea that what if we introduce in addition to references, we introduce another kind of primitive which allows you to have ref counted values of any type. So idea that we can have strings, we can have objects, we can have symbols, we can have numbers, whatnot. Like pretty much any NAPI value can become an API shared value with some reference counter. That's what. Because then I was implementing this GSI. It's actually whatever Hermes JavaScript engine has this special interface which we use inside of React Native. Then I want to kind of implement a wrapper of GSI around Node API because GSI is not API safe and Node API is API safe. So I have created this wrapper. It's one feature which I was missing. I couldn't just simply have hold to any type of value for a long time, right? So I need to have this facility. So I had to add it as extension myself. But I just curious what will be opinion of the team if we have as a new facility inside of Node API.
And that's so it's like so today we have references, but they only keep alive things like objects, right?
Right.
And so, you know, is it like an integer you'd want to keep around or?
Yeah, so technically in GSI, they want to keep around any value. Or even if you look inside of V8 API, when we having this whatever like to have different global value, whatever like other terms they use. So global value can be any value of any type, right? So technically, it's something which you can effectively keep outside of a call stack. Right? In V8, these values do not ref counted; they're more like unique PTRs, so they you hold into it. But in many kind of other cases, people want to use a ref counted one. And the main reason I understand the Node API reference today only related to objects because it can suddenly become weak pointer, which I also believe a very complicated pattern, which is very difficult to understand. And the fact that then ref count goes to 0 instead of object being deleted, it's become weak ref. It's a kind of very unexpected behavior if you know like in most ref counted world. Like usually then ref count goes to 0, object is being deleted.
Right. Yeah.
If I understand correctly, you say shared value doesn't mean it's shared across threads. It's just a reference count on any type of values.
So yeah, shared I mean like it's pretty much term that's used by a standard C++ for like shared PTR. Like shared PTR means that this value has shared ownership, which is usually kind of based on ref counting. But I also think what we can do, we can have this ref counter itself to be implemented as atomic variable. So at least we should be able to allow people to release reference to stuff from different thread if we want to. So still like a final destruction of object inside will happen on JavaScript thread, but at least we would allow people to hold on to this shared value maybe from different threads if we need to.
What kind of support does it need in the JavaScript engine itself to support it?
Ideally,
sorry, you go ahead.
So the way it's implemented in Hermes, like they do it very interesting way. Like they don't have some predefined global values as we have in V8. Instead, we can subscribe to garbage collector passes. Like so, technically, the never garbage collector goes. You must provide all the different set of roots what you have, right? And in this case, you can hold on to all these different shared values, and then no matter from which thread this ref count goes to 0, at this point nothing happens. Ref count just becomes 0. But then we have next garbage collector pass. We see whatever objects have reference counted 0. So at this point we can collect them. I don't know if V8 has such mechanism. Probably does. Probably it's how internally they organize this passing through all these different global values today. But at least,
yeah. No,
at least if we can just simply avoid the whole this multi-threaded stuff, but keep at least just normal ref counting semantic, I think it will still quite beneficial in many scenarios. So we effectively would expose these global values from V8 to the outside of Node API. This was actually main purpose. Minus this big PTR behavior, because big pointer is only for objects.
Yeah, I think I'd have to look a little bit more at the details to have an opinion. But
I can again I can draft PR, so technically to have sometimes just to see it, believe it.
Yeah,
I wrote this proposal, but on a discussion.
I think there's probably enough info there. I just need to have time to go and look at it a little bit more. But I don't know about Zhindicast, if you had a look there and the PR makes sense or not. Or
I don't have a strong opinion. Maybe Gabriels' PR might help you understand the condition.
Okay, yeah, that sounds like a good next step then.
Because we remember in the past we had similar issues with exception code. Like I remember,
Right.
like we had to go through some additional hoops to fix it. But I think like a root of the issue was like we don't have such facility in the first place. Imagine if our error code will be such shared value, so it can be anything.
Right.
This probably wouldn't even exist in the first place.
Okay.
Okay. Cool. I'll do PR and
Okay.
we'll go from there. Thank you.
Sounds good. Okay. Well, thanks for everybody's time, and we will see you next week. Bye.
Okay.